Hello, it's Marty, and I wanted to share with you some more pointers on downward dog. This series that I'm doing is going to cover 7 points of downward dog, but in this session we're just going to talk about one. So I already gave you a brief overview on the previous video about how important it is to extend the spine. And downward dog has many uses. It can be contrary to what most people think, upper body work as well as lower back extension. It's also a leg stretch, and most of us know it as a hamstring stretch. Proper hand placement is very important to develop your upper body strength and keep your wrist in good shape. Yoga can be very hard on the wrist and cause injuries or agitate existing injuries. So it's really important to hold your hand in proper posture, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So when you're in downward dog, you want to spread your fingers nice and wide. So many times I ask people in class to spread their fingers wide. There's something like this, and I get a little bit more like that. But you actually have the capacity to really spread your fingers wide, and I say like starfish. We want to really evenly distribute the weight on the hand. And the key to that is to press into the pad knuckle of your index finger. So when you're in downward dog and you put weight on your hands, and I hope you can get a close-up of my hands, you want to grip, if you will, with the pad knuckle of your index finger. It's a very foreign concept. So I'm spreading my fingers wide and I'm pressing down in the pad knuckle of my index finger, and I'm pushing the mat away from me. At the same time, I'm going to bend my elbows slightly and move my shoulders down away from my back. Now, that's a little bit challenging just right here, but when you begin to put more weight on it, a lot of times people will begin to do this. They'll cup their hand to different degrees. Please be mindful and pay close attention to pressing into the pad knuckle of the index finger as you lift your knees into downward dog. Breathe deeply, create your A shape. Nothing ever changes. You're always pressing into the pad knuckle of your index finger. And when you press there, it distributes the weight to these 4 pad knuckles and the joint structure, pushing the weight towards those areas and off the wrist. And you also want to keep it away from the thumb. The thumb is a very overused area, and it's a tender joint structure. So you want to try to keep any weight off the thumb. So pressing in the pad knuckle of the index finger, fingers are spread nice and wide. And as you come up into downward dog, a slight bend to the elbow, shoulders away from the ears. And that should keep your weight off the wrist and more on to the evenly distributed onto the hand where it can better support you. So that is the first tip to a better, safer, and more functionally useful downward dog. So experiment with that a little bit, spreading the fingers wide and pressing in the pad knuckle of the index finger. Slight bend to the elbow, and you'll find that your wrist and your downward dog will serve you well your entire life. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful. Namaste.